Okay, guys, I've been told to read Job when you're down and out. Some people say read it and you'll really be thankful for what you didn't have to go through, and others say just read it and you'll see how God will bless you. But I'm going to read it real quick. I know the story, I've read it before, but when you read it from a different viewpoint or with more open eyes, you kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit different. Here we go. In the land of Oz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and he had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the earth. Now, where it says he was blameless and upright, I'm reading from the NIV, but in the King James Version, it says he was perfect and upright. The reason that's it's a contradiction because nobody's perfect but Jesus. Adam and Eve were perfect. Jesus is the only other perfect one. But here in the book of Job, it says he was perfect. So the new books actually change the word. Even though that's the original King James, the original Bible, they go ahead and change that word so that way there won't be a contradiction in the future. But anyway, it says he was a perfect and upright man. His sons used to take turns holding feasts in their homes, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When the period of feasting had run its course, Job would send and have them purified. Early in the morning he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, perhaps my children have sinned and cursed in their hearts. This was Job's regular custom. Now in Job verse 6 it says, one day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. This is kind of interesting because, again, one day the angels, in the NIV, the angels, it's really, in the King James, the original Bible, it calls it the sons of God. And the sons of God are believed to be fallen demons by some. If you want to read about sons of God, you can read about them in Genesis 6, where it talks about the sons of God came down and mated and bred and had children with women. And shortly after that, giants were appearing on the earth, and God decided to flood the earth. You can read all about it in Genesis 6, the sons of God. So, and some argue, no, it wasn't the sons of God, it was really angels. So either way, either angels were coming down and having sex with humans, or some books will actually read fallen angels or demons. But neither here nor there, because because who else is reporting to the Lord is actually Satan, also came with them. And the Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? I find this interesting. He's asking Satan where you've come from. Almighty, all-knowing, omnipresent is asking him, where have you been? Now some will say, well, he was just being sarcastic. I don't know, does God play sarcasm? Maybe he does, but he flat out asked him, where have you been? Shouldn't he already know where Satan has been? And Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth and going back and forth in it. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Again, he used the word blameless and upright. That word blameless has been changed from the word perfect, because if they left it alone, there's a contradiction. No one's perfect, but apparently Job was perfect. It's said twice, and actually the Lord is saying he is perfect, so we can't question that. But the NIV and all the new books change the word perfect to blameless. Check it out. Verse 8 is when he says he's blameless. And the King James, it'll say he's perfect. But here, never mind that. Job, God's actually saying, have you considered my man Job? He's a blameless man. And he knows Satan is the most evil, cruel thing. As a matter of fact, if he knows the future, he knows what Satan's going to do to Job. But anyway, that's like me being in a park and I see Jeffrey Dahmer and I look over and I go, hey, Jeffrey, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm just hanging out at the park. What? And I go, have you considered my boy over there, Aiden, my 3-year-old? He's a handsome, fine young boy. I would never do that. I wouldn't have a conversation with Jeffrey Dahmer. And I certainly wouldn't ask him if he's considered my kids. Anyway, does Job fear God for nothing? Satan replied. Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? Have you not blessed the work of his hand and his flocks and his herd and spread throughout the land? But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you in your face. The Lord said to Satan, very well, then everything he has is in your hands. But on the man himself, do not lay a finger. Then Satan went from the presence of the Lord. Well, that's nice. Not only did he say, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll show you. I'm going to do something you can watch. He said, no, you can do whatever you want to him. Just don't hurt him. You go ahead, Satan. You go have your way with my perfect and righteous man. Let's have fun with this. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine in the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabanines or whatever attacked and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword. They killed them. And then while he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, fire of God fell from the sky and burned up the sheep and the servants, and I am the only one to escape. So now you got God getting in on this. It actually says heaven in the King James, not sky, but it says heaven. But now you've got God launching fire down to kill servants and sheep, I guess to prove a point to Satan that Job won't fall. Job won't, be tricked into sinning. I don't know. And then it says, while he was still speaking, another messenger came and said that they came and stole his camels and killed more servants by the sword. And then while he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the four corners of the house. It collapsed, and all of them are dead. Now you got Job, all his servants are, fire coming down from heaven, burning his servants, guys coming in, stealing his herds, his flock, and winds coming in and crushing his kids to death in a house. Job basically gets up, rips his clothes off, shaves his head, and says, naked I came into this, what does it say? Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. That's all verse 1, guys. We got to understand some very... I want to tell you, first of all, I don't believe the story. I believe this is, hey, we're going to tell a story tonight, kids. Here's a story of a man named Job. I don't believe it actually happened. Some believe they say this to teach you a moral story, whatever. God... Why is Satan up in heaven dealing with God? We sin. We look at a girl and think something. Oh, we're sinners. Now we deserve to go to hell forever. Satan is up there. Hey, God, what's up? And he's like, hey, where you been? Oh, yeah, you consider my man Job? Check him out. Satan is still roaming around the earth, free will, and roaming and going up to heaven, reporting to God. Why is he allowed up in heaven if he is the epitome of sin? Why is God asking him to consider my perfect man? Why does the Bible say that Job was perfect in the King James Version? When there's nobody perfect, when you read other parts, nobody's perfect but Jesus. Adam and Eve were the first perfect ones. They've fallen. No other human being has ever been perfect except Jesus. And then you read in the book of Job, he was perfect. Then the new books come out and they change the word perfect. They erase it, hurry up and put in blameless, and good, we're good there. None of it makes sense. This is the first chapter, or the first, whatever you want to call this thing. Yeah, first chapter. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that God would want to have a powwow with Satan, would invite him to consider one of his best men, then turn around and play games with this guy's head, killing his kids, or allowing Satan to kill his kids, burning his sheep. We know he did that. That came from heaven. Allowing men to come in. Who ordered these men to come in and steal and stab them? I mean, is God like going into their mind and saying, go attack this town and stab? I mean, this whole story is nothing but mind games and corruption. And at the end it says, in all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. He did do wrongdoing. Now, we're not allowed to say God did wrongdoing. We can allow him to send bears to kill 42 kids, to tie a guy up for 390 days cooking his food over human waste. We can allow him to tell Moses to go kill 3,000 Levites. We can allow him to have Joshua go in, and when the walls came tumbling down, and God can order Joshua to go in and kill everyone, including women and children. We're not allowed to say that that's wrongdoing. We're not allowed to charge God with... Look, I'm not charging God with wrongdoing. I'm saying all these stories are bogus. They're stupid. They don't line up with Jesus. Yet God is supposedly the one doing all this, and we're supposed to turn the other way because it's in our Bible. So as far as my review of Job chapter 1, it sucks.